Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. We're a minute early. Dun, 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 dun. All right. It's a new week. And with our exciting new week, we've got our first new page. And there we go. And part of our first new page is the page that we started initially. I think it was Thursday. This page is drawn in white mark making tools on red cardstock. And, little exciting aside here. A couple weeks ago, maybe last week, I don't know how long ago, not long ago, I bought all of these mechanical pencils. And when I bought said mechanical pencils, one of them is yellow lead, which I'm sure has its function. But for my facility, I wasn't entirely sure what that might be. Well, I decided that it may well be for drawing on dark colored cardstock. That epiphany happened 2 days ago. Terrible. But I realized that I could draw on these dark colored cardstocks in the yellow pencil, and you can see it. So that was very exciting. So we'll be doing some of that, and let me see. Let's get some out and take a look. All right. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we got a couple things to talk about. At the end of the week is the official launch, and so the promos will start tomorrow. But at the end of the week is the official launch for One Page Story Extravaganza Volume 2. So I'm excited to be able to share that. So, keep an eye out. So I'll show you. I've shown it here on the stream, secretly, a little sneak peek. And and we've got some fun things coming up around that. So kind of excited to show that. Let me switch cameras. So here's today's page anyhow. And tomorrow's page, the mixed media page, is dancing merrily along. And so here's where I left that this weekend. And I'll get this finished up tonight, but it's, let me pull in just a tiny bit. You gonna work for me, robot? Oh, maybe I'm going the wrong way. Still figuring out my zoom. There we go. Okay, well, anyhow, there, now it's working. All right. Very spastic machine. There you are. And we got you. I'll move this over a tiny bit and get our page shifted accordingly. So, yeah, so here's the mixed media page we started on Friday. And so some of these elements here, like the tissue paper of the checkers and the yellow bits of paper, and some of these images here that are embedded into the page are scraps of doodles that I'd started and done nothing with. So we incorporated those into this page. And then in addition to that, we expanded some more illustrations into that. So to just naturally blend all those things together. I don't know that you'd necessarily know that this isn't drawn on the same paper as this, but maybe. And here's this lady running in the park, and I'm putting two more, a male and a female jogger, behind her. And I mean, those are two different elements in the same frame of reference. And I should blend as one anyhow. So so this will be posted for tomorrow, and it's a bit more fiddling around to do with it, and I think adding some color digitally. But yeah, another thing, just for interest's sake, is I am now finally finding benefit in having a sketchbook small enough to fit inside my pocket. And And so, it's not for any larger imaginings. It's really just for whatever scribbles that I feel like doing off the top of my head, like this one where I'm dancing like I'm Kate Bush. Oh, hi, Chris. Welcome aboard. Hello there. Good to see you. So there's benefit that I'm finding from having this little sketchbook in my pocket, so I can just fiddle about with whatever mark making tools I have on me, and I usually have something on me. And the last thing to show before we get crack-a-lackin'. Oh, I'm going to try that yellow pencil in a second. So page one is out. Alphabet book 1 is out. And Friday or Saturday is the big release for page 2. And so we're excited. And yeah, that'll be coming out soon enough. And I mean, it's available for people to pre-order now, but we're going to have a bit of a fun event on its release day. I think it's Saturday. It's Saturday because Sunday. Monday? It's a week. Oh yeah, so that's Monday. So yeah, so that'll be exciting. And then Friday we've got something else exciting to do. But thanks very much, Chris says. Congratulations. So there's the exciting preview of this bad boy, and it's the same format. Everything's the same as the previous one, where we've got the page, the suggestion, the thinking around it, and an example of the original art before the finishing. So in this case, it's a line art piece that was, scanned and turned into black line art and pasted over top of a Braille-off surface and digitally colored to blend in. So, all that process is throughout the book. There's all kinds of fun pages. It's just me on a submarine banging my head continuously. So yeah, so this will be out, well, it's available now, but this will be, our official launch will be coming up this weekend. So yeah, back to what I was mentioning earlier. So with these mechanical pencils that are all color erase lead that I've picked up because of the fact that the color erase pencils that I've been using for so long are discontinued. And, and I liked having the range of different colors and things like that to work with. And some of the other brands that I found out there, I don't enjoy. So, yeah. So I ordered these from Pilot, and we got 8 different colors. And the yellow one seemed to me to be, I didn't entirely know what value there was in this yellow one until it dawned on me 2 days ago that I can draw on dark colored surfaces, and the line art shows up just as well as any of the darker colors on light colored surfaces. So we can do all kinds of jazz with these and see where that takes us and explore and play. And so just like the white pencils that I used on the red cardstock for today's page, now I can use these different colored pencils like the yellow and probably the orange on other colored cardstock. So we'll see how this goes. It looks just like something fun to try. Ideally, I could scan this, and while scanning it, if I convert it to line art, honestly, it would work as a negative, because the black, the dark color, is what the process looks for. And so if the black color is not the the traditionally accepted line art that we utilize by doing contour lines and filling in details, if it's the void space around it, it should appear like a photo negative. So that's kind of fun. We're looking forward to trying it out anyways. But so I thought I'd do a quick little bit of doodling here with you today and see what comes out of that. But then we'll get to work on today's page, and I want to do today's page in in black and white. So a little bit of black, white, and gray line art. I got the jam tonight here in London, the comic jam, so that we do a lot of black and white line art. So this will help to get me warmed up for that. The challenge I generally have with doing a comic jam at the end of the day is I've been working all day and probably in a different medium. And so when we sit down to do line art, I kind of have this notion where I trace, like I track the way the artist before me draws, and I emulate their style. And so it becomes hard for when I'm looking at some of these pages about what did I actually draw on this page? Did I work on this page? And yeah. I want to be able to just, be who I am a little bit more tonight and just add my own stamp so I can see what I'm doing. Riri, hiya Riri, how you doing? Have you ever used red Asian calligraphic paper? I'm not sure that I have. I don't believe I have. Now, what's the difference with calligraphic paper? Is it a thin paper, more like a printer paper, or is it somewhat reminiscent of a cardstock, or is it like a vellum? I'll have to look into this. This is exciting. Welcome aboard, Riri. Great to see you. Okay, so we'll deal with this funny business later. But I just thought I'd try that out, and so we got our paper out for today. Now I'm going to use a regular pencil today instead of. So this is all black and white drawing tools that I have, and this little bad boy inside my big circle maker. And so one of the fun things is that I've been discovering some new tools lately that I recommend, like these Staedtler, the gray tone Staedtler pens that are out there right now are wonderful, and they're brush tip, and they're really nice, and they work really well with the Fudenosuke pens, the black line art soft tip and hard tip pens that I tend to favor. But it's nice to have a gray tone that works for me in a way that I have a hard time with alkyd-based ones, and I have a hard time with really loose water-based ones because it's too much or too little of something. And so these ones that are straight on pigment pens, I like them very much. I like these very, very much. They are my friends. So we're going to do some more things with those and see what we can make out of it. So let's start today's page. Now I got the new book. The gold book is retired. And so what one-page comic suggestions that I had left, there's a couple pages of them. I've got them all written down here. And so it's, there's some really fun stuff. And as I was transferring these today, I kept seeing all kinds of things. I'm like, how did I miss this idea? This is a fun idea. Riri says, it's an extremely matte, lightweightish paper. Mine is on an Amazon roll. Lightweightish. Matte. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. It's red calligraphic paper. Rest in peace, old book with cool ideas. Well, we haven't lost anything. It's mostly done. This is what's left. And then this is me starting to write down new ideas that were coming in. So I'm trying to, catch up on everything, but I want to go back and, complete some of these older ideas that we had, and to see what fun things I missed. And there are some really fun things that I missed. So, it's just a matter of picking something. So we've got, see, it's about 4 pages. So let's just pick something here. We've got my dad's friend has a dog named Pedro Gonzalez Martinez Lopez Bay. That's interesting. A mysterious cat who stole a hot dog. Who doesn't love cats? Amazon was supposed to be on a roll. Okay. Mine is on a roll. There we go. I definitely have to look at that. I was wondering what you meant by the Amazon part of that. Okay, so we've got. Let's go back. Let's go back to the earlier ones. Or did I just say something? Man eats himself fishing for compliments. You see, the problem is you gotta pick one. Now it's playing favorites. There you go. All right. So what have I got here? Chris's cat's trying to teach mine the Macarena. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. I still miss Baby. My cat Baby passed away. She's right there behind me, and I know it's really tragic. Someone is spoiled like an out-of-date avocado. We just did. A puppy thinks he's getting adopted by a family. Frankenstein doing karaoke. Animals a ventriloquist or a human. The life of perming. Okay, life of perming. Let's do it. Let's stay on this first page. Life of perming is what we're doing today. And yeah, this should be some fun. Not a bad way to pick one. People in Mexico give some dogs typical people's names. It's not just in Mexico. I know somebody who has a dog named Frank. Frank, come in, Frank. It's like, who are you calling? It's like, my dog. And I'm like, you named your dog Frank? Of course, this is just a big, lovely, dopey-looking dog. You know, one of those ones with a big, waggy tongue hanging out of his face and flomping along with the ears and the whole bit, right? Yeah, Frank. This is a story about how thick I can be sometimes. I knew a very German family, and growing up, and they had a dog that I thought its name was Hund, and Hund is German for dog, and so the dog's name was Midnight, but I'd only ever heard the dad yelling Hund, and the dog would come running. So I thought its name was Hund. So I called it one day, and the mother laughed and said, "Why are you shouting dog?" And I said, "Isn't that her name?" And she's like, "Her name is Midnight." Chris says, "I have a niece named Frida, and her best friend at school named her dog Frida. It's awkward but fun." Okay, what did I say I'm doing? Life of perming. All right, so let's use a drawing tool that you can actually see the result. Life of perming. Now, who did this come from? It's our friend Jim. Jim's got a lot of suggestions that I still haven't done yet, and so I apologize for that, Jim. So the life of perming. So let's, I got a nice piece of cardstock here. What I'm going to do is, yeah, I think that what I'm going to do is work on this cardstock. I'm going to move it over so we can see a little clearer. Hey, Susanna, welcome aboard. Beautiful people. My niece doesn't have a second name. When you have two names, it's easier. My middle names are Michael Scott, which would have been fun when I was a kid, or fine when I was a kid. But as an adult, now it's associated with the television program The Office. So, okay, so where are we here? Where's the extent of our page? Right there? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just really lightly pencil in our principal panel. And so I thought, if it's about the life of perming, why don't I take one of these little tiny, reference panels that I tend to like I'll show you in a second what I'm referring to. It's the reason I use tiny reference panels instead of like full size things is that it forces me to to have to go into my imagination more instead of just relying on replicating the source image that I have. And so in doing that, I feel like it gives a little more something to the drawing. Something would be the operative word, because I'm not just doing my best to replicate this, to copy that, to do. Chris says I have my job name and my name to use for family and friends. Oh, nice. I have my my regular name and my hey, don't call me late for dinner name. Barely let out of the house anymore. So, well, there's a little bit of orange on this, but that doesn't matter. We're not worried about that. So I don't know why I'm lightly penciling in everything really loosely, but because it's not really any different than what I'm going to do with a marker in the first place. Okay, so I was going to show you this. Okay, let me see if I can see this picture here that's in the center of all of this. This is what I'm using as my reference. And so by having something that small, it forces me, and I can see the basic elements of it, but that's why they're very loosely laid in, because this way, it forces me to really lean on myself and how I'm going to refer to these things, and how I'm going to refer to the shape language, and try to figure out whatever characterization I can myself. But having that little start there, nothing wrong with that. Doesn't hurt anything. So I'm just going to largely just sketch it in using the gray tone. And then like I do, let me see if I can catch that easy. My brother's name is Michael. I can't see something that tiny. I get tired and quit maybe. Well, I completely understand that. It makes complete sense. And it can be expanded to much larger, but it's so this is me sketching with these gray tone markers, and so finding out interesting things in the application and the value system. And this is doing the same thing but with earth tones, and like here's using these markers to do a portrait of a character, and again using that smaller image really makes me have to pay attention, really makes me have to figure out the ins and outs of it. So I hope everybody's been doing well lately, and your 2025 is going okay. I've been doing all kinds of stuff, and getting some opportunities and pursuing opportunities. Oh, hey, Chris, thank you for, I think I already said. Do your kids draw or do art, Christopher? Oh, Chris says great sketches. Thank you. Riri asks, do your kids draw or do art? Not really. My son Sean writes, and my daughter Jamie does, but just sort of, with your kids, or sort of a hobby stance. It's not like she likes to take pictures. She's very good at taking pictures. But none of the kids do what I do per se. It's a strange thing, it's like here's some kids that would rather have, they had that opportunity to have somebody with a studio nearby, and to be able to utilize that, and how lovely that would be. And I have kids that have grown up around a studio, and all went in different career paths. So it's kind of funny how that always works out. I'm getting ready to go to work, one class and a long meeting today. Oh, boy. let's. I hope your meeting's okay. I hope they serve treats at it. I hope somebody brings in some baked goods, or that always makes a meeting go much easier. I find is that snacks. Here's some snacks, everybody. So here's I'm putting this girl's hair in this little 60-ish bob cut. Well, I appreciate you stopping in, Chris. This is super awesome. And then I'll text you this week. We'll chat about some other stuff there. But I really, really appreciate. I really appreciate you and that opportunity, Chris. So, okay, so this is the lightest of the gray pens that I've sketched her head in here with, and then we're going to continue on doing this with the shadow structure in her face. And I'm not overly precious about continuity of the value. If I have to go over areas a couple times or whatever it might be to have a consistency of that tone, I'm going to do it. And even then, if it's not perfect, well, that's all right. We will all survive. Another benefit of using small resource images is that it really forces you to break it down into values rather than lines. So Riri says, yeah, treats. We're trying to figure out what kind of treats to offer people for the end of the week with, with a new book release. And I think what we've come up with might make people happy. But with the release of this bad boy, what? That'll be something that we're trying to figure out how to do. Send people a little something extra in appreciation. So this is what I'm referring to when it's high contrasty, very much about, shadow, just form volume as opposed to the details in the face and in the eyes and things like that. We just know that it's got, we've got the structure in there, but there's not a lot of fine bits of information because what we're using is so small. So it's just gotta, and I'm already making choices that aren't following the lines that I set myself out with, and that's fine too. We'll erase those out of here anyways. But there's our first person who's going to talk to us about their perming experience for our page today, The Life of Perming. Has anybody here had a perm? And if so, was it back when? Because perming, the smell of perming, the perming process has gotten better over the years. But back in the day, whooey, it was not kind. It was not kind at all. So this is the darker of the grays that I have. I'm just going to pick out a couple of little things, and then we're going to go back into our intermediate gray, the one in the middle of the two, and pursue developing up some of these volumes. I just wanted to try something for a second there, and a little bit of contour work. Riri says, nope, not me. Yeah, see, I've never had a perm either because this curly mop on top of my head does its own thing anyways. Did I grab the same pen that I started with? I did. Boy, oh boy, Christopher, come on. Okay, so here's our intermediate. Different a value to it that this is more of a light I would say that this gray here is warm, and the gray that I'm applying now is more of a cool color. But that's okay, because it lets us experiment and explore a little bit here. And add a little more structure, a little more shape language to our drawing so that we can see some development in the overall portrait, the person's face, but it's not this heavy-duty dark value that's presented in the third gray. Still haven't gone to black at all. Curly mop mania. Woohoo, me too. Right now. Yeah, I had platinum hair until I was about 11. And like just bright white. And really light and blonde. And so my hair started growing out a little bit when I was in grade 9. And my principal at the high school that I went to said, "To a lovely young lady." I wasn't the height that I am now back then. I didn't quite start growing until the following summer, and kept going until I was 21. So now I'm putting in a little bit more detail. Are those water soluble? No. No, it's these are just straight on pigment brush pens, cool gray medium. So they're not the most forgiving things. Oh, I meant to show you this. Okay, so this, the one in the center, is what we're using, and I'll make it bigger. Is that better? So now you can see the shape is all there. But by reducing it down, it just turns it into just tones, just little volumes. There was an artist. I'll make that smaller again. There's an artist named Chuck Close. I think he's still with us, and Chuck Close had this fantastic ability to utilize different symbolic marks that he would use. And a predominant one, let me see if I got this paper here. Here, I'll use this. He would do a portrait, and he would divide the entirety of the painting into square shapes. And in these square shapes, he would put a diagonal line across, he would have a central circle, and he would have a middle circle, and then the diagonal parts. And so he would look at an image that he was going to do a portrait of somebody from, and he would, as he looks closer and closer at that image, he would realize that if an 8-foot painting is made of, 3-inch by 3-inch squares, he would figure out, looking in that, if this one was darker, and with a red tone, and there's a light pink in the center, and a very soft pink on the outside, and across from that he would have let's say a different colored, like a sort of a little bit of a green value in there, and then this pink that we see here, he would put like so. And so looking at it up close, all of these different circles, geometric shapes in general, together, side by side, so that here it is now on a 8-foot by 8-foot canvas of all of these small squares. But when you step back 3 feet from it now, 4 feet, 6 feet, and you look at this image, you don't see these elements. What you see is, the overall portrait of somebody's face. But the entire image is made up out of these. And yet he's done this very representational painting of somebody. And I think I've always thought that's one of the more interesting things. Susanna says, your book is on my bucket now. Oh, thank you very much, Susanna. I appreciate that. Riri says, I was born blonde, and over 10 years I became a brownie. So all my friends going gray, and which is suitable because we're getting older. And yet mine is just dulled and dulled over time, so that it's like a dull blonde brown now. And yeah, but I think this is, see, I have a hair very similar to my grandfather's, and it's thinning in the same way, and it's always been fine in the same way as his hair was. And his hair just went white and like just blanched of color, and I think that that's what mine's doing. So Chris says, those are very interesting techniques, like the one made with small photos of people, and from the distance you see a bigger image or portrait. Yeah, so here's the artist. I'll write his name down. Take a look at the work of Chuck Close. There's his name there for anybody who wants to look that up. Chuck, C-H-U-C-K, last name C-L-O-S-E. And he would use a number of different mechanisms for working on these portraits. But that method that I just showed you is only one of them. Riri says, oh yeah, I'm gray. Chris has got to go now. Thanks for the tips. Hey, thanks for coming out, Chris. I appreciate that immensely. Just keep going here a little bit on our page for today. And yeah, I got no problem with going gray. I mean, my chin whiskers are already white. This is why I think my hair is just going to go white like my grandfather's, is that these are white. But not everybody just goes gray per se, right? See, the method of our mark making, there are so many different ways that we can do things, that we can, make whatever marks to represent images that seems to suit us and feel comfortable to us. There's no right or wrong. You have to draw, you have to paint this way. Now, there are people that go to schools to learn some of these skills, School of Arts, and have painting instructors that say, here's my approach to painting, and this is how I'm going to teach you to paint like me. And again, that's completely legitimate, but their way is not the only way, right? Because they have found mechanisms that worked for them in the process that other people may not, have ever considered. So now we've got these two different gray values here. Boom, boom, boom. So it adds, I find that it adds a lot of more volume and depth to a character when we try to look at it in more than just two values, right? Just gives it a little more interesting bits of information for us to search around in an image, right? So I'm going to go into the darker value now. And it's a warm gray again. But it's the darkest of the three. So I want to be sparing with this. I've been listening to the band today because Garrett Morris just passed away, and I've always been a big fan of the band, and unfortunately the last living member passed away now, so they're all gone. Very talented bunch of fellas, and mostly Canadian. It's funny, for being these big impact American groups, they're mostly Canadians. So here we're putting in this little bit, these little bits of information here, little emphasis points. And we'll come in here with the I. Deepen that up a little bit. So I'm not sure how clear that's coming through. Riri says, so many are gone. Yeah, it's sad. It's the changing of an age, right? So I think that's a little bigger now. There we go. Move it over. So here's some of these details I'm trying to pull in. So now, there we go. Here comes the black one. And I'm going to be very sparing, even more sparing with the black than I have been with the various grays. And really only use it as a fine liner, just like picking out the specific details with that. That should make some of those elements pop, right? Because we'll let the gray tones do their work. We'll let them unify our image and bring things together. But we're just putting little emphasis lines. The music that Canada produced flooded the genre. Oh yeah, lots of great stuff. Neil Young, big person at the time. In the 60s when him joining Crosby, Stills and Nash was really interesting to me. I was a brownie, but now I'm a brownie with passed from a brownie girl to a blonde lady. There you go. Yeah, I tried to dye my hair once years ago, just for interest's sake, and because of how fine my hair was, and well is, complete waste of money, because I tried to dye it red, but because of how fine it is and the fact that the dye couldn't get a hold on it, I had pink hair, and quickly got rid of that. So, but I had to try something back in the day. We're talking many years ago. So I've ended up giving this lady some of them dreamy eyes. Very heavy eyelid. See, this guy's like Neil Young. Like my favorite singer in the band is Rick Danko, the bass player. And also love his bass playing style. Tried to emulate that when I was younger. But he and Neil Young both have the same kind of a voice. I think Harvest Moon is one of the greatest songs ever written. Because it's a song that dances you in and it dances you out. Oh, fashion guy, pink is not the same for... Pink is not for everyone. That really wasn't for me either. It's just, like I say, because of the nature of my hair. It just, a friend of mine's a hairdresser and said, I could have told you not to dye your hair. Your hair doesn't take hair dye. And I'm like, oh, great, thanks. In hindsight, sometimes we have to learn things the hard way. Okay, so we've got our character in here now. Now there's some orange here from something or other. I'm not sure what it is, and let's see if we can remove it with one of my crazy erasers. I don't think so, but that's okay. We don't care. All right. So let's work out this composition a little bit further. Let's figure this panel out some more. Yeah, I've never been overly concerned about... I'm not good with color. I'm not good with branding. I'm not good with. I tend to like really sullen colors, and so it's probably, it's better that Lori is far better equipped to figure out what clothes are okay for me. Because if it was up to me, I'd be the re-embodiment of Johnny Cash, as far as I'm concerned. Just wear black. But she manages to dress me more like a guy with some color. But they're still all dark greens and blue grays, and just because that I find that comfortable. But every now and then she gets some color for me to put on. Everybody around me goes into shock. So I'm just playing with the confines of the frame. And I'm not going right up to the edge of the character. I'm letting the character bleed over a little bit. Just to make it interesting. And we'll see where we go from there. And then I just want to get this started and play with this a little bit today. But we could try a few different things if people have any questions, or if there's something you want me to take a look at material-wise or approach-wise. So I'm just going to put some draperies in the background. And then we'll put window in here, I guess. Why not? Just something to break up the background. It doesn't have to have any larger specific meaning. It's just sometimes just a random, abstract shape context for a character keeps them from free floating around in a panel and gives the person looking at it something to hold on to. I love how your people don't look like you. So many others do. Weird that. I guess it's their own familiar face. Yeah, so that's a natural tendency when people are illustrating, is that a lot of the characters look representatively like them, or they look like, a specific style approach that they have. This is how I do a female face. This is how I do a male face. And I think I have some of those tendencies as well, but not specifically per se. Like, hey, let's take a look in here. So I'm often trying to, play with different face shapes and styles and approaches. And sometimes I'll reference an image, like I reference, Rasputin and David Bowie and Joan Crawford here. But it's all about just having fun and trying different things. But I don't know that I've got, say, like there's Mr. Roper. So we're trying to put Mr. Roper in there. And another person who's really good for that is my friend Jim. Jim did this half of this page of all these characters from his films. And he's got a great ability to find the differences in people's faces. And, I'm sure you can find some kind of similarity in the structure of these two faces. But, again, I'm just trying to shake it up. Rembrandt Van Rijn, genius, doing all of the self-portraits that he... are you all right? Cat's over there sneezing his face off. He would do numerous self-portraits, and in order to keep himself toned up for portraits. And it's really interesting to see a person assess the changes in their own face over a course of time. I think it's absolutely fantastic that we have this record of him I mean, I recognize it's a little narcissistic, but at the same time, creatively, as as an artist, he's left this great record of the differences that happen. You know, how our muscles tire, and our, you know, our face tends to, you know, not be as tight cheeked and perky as when we were younger. And it, you know, sometimes we live in a world where so many people think that that's a flaw and they need corrective surgery or something of the like in order to change that. It's just reality, right? And, you know, there's some really interesting things that happen when people age. Take a look at, let me think of a good example. Maggie Smith, Dame Maggie Smith. I think, is she still with us? I'm not sure. Maybe she's passed away. But she was in the Harry Potter films and the Downton Abbey show and all of that. But she's been in a great deal of plays and films and television shows in the course of her career. And so you can see what young Dame Maggie Smith looked like up until, you know, in her senior years here. And there's this elegant allowance of her face to age. And then look at Madonna. Madonna has, I think, somewhat interfered with that process. And the challenge presented by that is that you there, you know, for a look at it and go, where'd Madonna go? But if that gives her a sense of self-worth and comfort, and so be it. But it's challenging for sure, especially in a, you know, people in acting and in music and that, a lot of the value assigned to them and to their careers goes hand in hand with them looking youthful. So this is my favorite little ruler. For those that don't know, it's a ruler with a whole bunch of holes in it for finding the right size of your knitting needle. I don't use it for that, but what I do use it for is the circles, and it's a handy dandy little straight edge that fits in your pocket. So here's our first panel, and as soon as I'm putting this border on it, there's this part of me that says, I should have done like the shape of the panel around her in the form of a permed haircut, you know. But we think about these things sometimes after the fact, right? Robert says, I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do isn't very good. Hi, everyone. Hi, Robert. Welcome aboard. Okay, so there's our first panel that we've put in, is of our I guess our narrative voice of the person talking about their life in perming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here now with this lightest gray, now that we've got this defined frame of reference here, and I'm going to put a little bit of patterning into their outfit here. So I'm looking forward to the comic jam tonight we've got here in London. I hope everybody takes part in art groups or things like that, if they've got that availability where they live, to sit down with other creative types and work on similar things. Okay, so here's our narrative voice. I'm just making sure I'm not missing stuff here. So so let's look at, so I did a page, I guess in 2023. I'm trying to remember. We've been through so many pages now, but so Julie, one of the people in the larger community here, I'm not remembering her last name off the top of my head. She the page was her trying on different hats, or different headgear, and seeing how which was the look for her. And so what I'd done is I'd done a proper portrait of her, and then I'd replicated said portrait. I put different headgear. I drew a whole bunch of different pieces of headgear and scanned those, and replicated the principal portrait image and just kept applying this different headgear to each of these faces. And that was kind of fun. So I think we might try something similar along those lines, but rather than just having a static kind of a look, I've got, let me see if I can find it. These are all head shapes right here. And so it's just a person looking in all these different directions and all these different angles, and mouth open, mouth closed, happy, sad, whatever it might be. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to pick one. That's as large as I can blow it up. So I think what we'll do is we'll just pick one like that, and we're going to put a perm on her. And we're going to put her in the same outfit as we have here. But what I can try to do is to emulate, this sort of motif where we've got all these different faces and directional looks, but with, different types of perms and different types of, because when you think about it, if for those that were around in the 1980s, there were some pretty different kinds of perms. And there were some really interesting looks back in that day. So I'm not getting too detailed here. We're just roughing in our shape, and the rest of it is all defined with the marker, right? So come with that lightest one again, and start picking out the values in here. And I'm sorry you can barely see the pencil, but very lightly applied purposefully. I kind of like drawing with, the details with the marker. It's just makes you think about different things then. When you start thinking about the line art, when you start thinking about going over lines that you've already put down and trying to replicate those or emphasize those, we can get distracted easily doing that. Like here, I'm changing the placement of the ear as I go. Is that in? Oh, okay, just making sure that. Might as well put the detail in here as we go. I haven't decided panels or anything like that as yet. There we go. So here's our person from our picture. So we don't need you anymore. All right, so now we're going to do, so there's the Jerry curl perm, there's the tight perm. Oh, nightmare fuel. So I'm just going to be silly as we go through. I'll just let the perms speak for themselves, as it were. Now, I knew a girl in high school who had her hair done like this. And when we met, first time I saw this person, they had long, straight blonde hair. And the next time I saw them, their hair was like this. And I just found it, and I didn't react very nicely. And in hindsight, it's not that I said, "Oh, that looks terrible." I didn't do anything like that. But when they said hi, and I went, "Oh, it's you! Whoa!" It's just not. you know, so you got your hair done, but I've already given it away. And we do that in those little microseconds where we, you know, well, at least I do. Some people are far better at holding it that in, but oh, I never meant bad by it, but I could tell that the person was clearly like, you know, well, he doesn't like it, you know. Can't help that. All right, so let's pick up that second gray and go a little deeper. And this is the one that I had mentioned before. It's a little cooler, but there's some interesting things we get out of that cooler value and applying that to the face. So it's kind of a fun exercise to give oneself to try to structure a narrative out of doing a bunch of different perspectives and portraits on hairstyles and fashion and things like that. I think Dave Sim, the creator of Cerebus, I think he did a comic like that in the last so many years. I don't know. I didn't actually read it. It didn't hold my interest. You know, I'd seen it on the shelf, but I'm not one of those people that I have to read everything by a specific creator. Because, you know, they do something very different than the previous thing that you enjoy. And, you know, the whole idea of story is that each of them stand on their own in their own regard. But it doesn't mean everybody has to like all of them. I mean, Dave Latham, 100 Bullets, brilliant. His Feral series about werewolves, not my bag. For other people, that book will have them howling at the moon. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Oh, Lori's home. So here's our second person coming in now. So putting in some of these values here, is going to more readily define some of our character, but I'm going to come back in with that first marker to double down on some values and therefore deepen them up. It's, in my mind, a better blend than going right into that cool, because it's a little contrasting, right? There we go. I don't know how clearly that comes through. I think it does a little bit. Yeah. My camera's on a kind of a different angle. It makes his face look really thin. To sort that out. There we go. So there's our next perm. And the whole point of this page is that I'm just going to continue going on one hair set to another hair set. One of the things about, hold on a sec. One of the things about, and I'll show you the two different things I have here immediately, about, sketching together pages like this. Where's it in camera? There we go. So there's one thing about the sketching pages together like this or in this way. And then there's another thing to be said for just looking at things as values and worrying less about all of these elements and allowing sometimes to just the silhouettes and just there's more detail in the areas around the expression, and that sort of adds to it. I like playing with that a little bit, and so I think I'm going to really explore that with today's page. And I still got to finish this off for posting for tomorrow. Is that gonna? There we go. Yeah. So this will get done for tomorrow, and this is the one about running. So yeah, so things are coming together. Anyhow, I have got an appointment this afternoon that I get to. I've had a busy morning of working, but I thought I'd come and hang out a little bit today and do a little bit of prepping a page to get ready to get a one-page story from the suggestion of Life of Perming from Jim. And so I appreciate everybody popping in. But yeah, try things out. Try putting together compositions with the gray tone. All of this, the black line is very, sparing in this, and I haven't got any in that yet, but the black line is very sparing purposely because sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes you can really start to pull this shift in values by just using a spread of a range of gray tones. So that's what I'm playing with today. All right, folks, that's about it for me. I'm going to pop away. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I will be here much longer tomorrow. And yeah, I hope to see you then. And in the meantime, I hope everybody has a good day. And thanks for everybody popping in. It's good to see everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, folks. Thanks, everybody, for coming by.